Welcome to Rsbn Tonight. I'm Adam Taxon, and this, I believe, is our last broadcast of 2016, at least of this show, and probably, in terms of Rsbn Tonight, our last test broadcast. And we're happy that you've been bearing with us as we work out the kinks, and hopefully we'll have a really great show for you tonight, and we'll have a really smooth non-test show throughout 2017. A lot to talk about tonight. So let's get right to our lead story. Our lead story tonight is the continuing, rather feckless harassment of Donald Trump and his family by our enlightened superiors. And you know what I mean by that? I mean insufferable social justice warriors. Today, this happened a while ago today. You probably heard it by now. Ivanka Trump, her husband Jared Kushner, their 3 children, and some other extended family members, I think they were cousins, they were flying to JFK to Palm Beach International in West Palm Beach in Florida on JetBlue. I guess they're going to Mar-a-Lago. Interestingly, they were flying coach, which no judgment, neither here nor there, but they happened to be flying coach. It's not important why they were flying coach. But 2 New York City men who I guess are special friends, Matthew Lesnar and Dan Goldstein, and we'll talk about them more later. This is going to be a long segment. We're trying to do what the regular media doesn't. We're giving you more than just bullet points and sound bites. We're going to talk about this story. Well, they spotted Ivanka Trump and those who were traveling with her before the plane boarded, and guess what? The 2 became really giddy about that. What an opportunity that they were just presented with. So what happens? Of course, Matthew Lesnar tweeted. This was a little bit before the flight. What do? Do I do a voice now? Okay. Ivanka and Jared at JFK T5, flying commercial. My husband, that by the way is his words, not mine. My husband, chasing them down to harass them. He then, this is where it gets interesting, added a hashtag which says, banality of evil. Very, very serious. You may or may not know that quote. You may have heard that phrase before, but what it is a quote from a woman named Hannah Arendt, who wrote a book, I think, in the early 60s about the top people in the National Socialist Party. And I call it National Socialist rather than Nazi, because we can't forget about the Socialist part. But this guy, he seems to really like Holocaust references, and more about that later. So what happened? Goldstein, they boarded the plane. Goldstein got sassy with Ivanka on the plane. Let me add something here. Ivanka, unlike those 2, actually practices real Judaism. And that was because she made the effort to make a lengthy conversion process, and that's not easy. As opposed to those 2, and I'm not passing judgment because it's the same with me, they just happen to be born to Jewish mothers. Goldstein then, well, let's get back to the story here. He enlightened Ivanka with the information that your father is ruining the country, as if he's already taken office. Then he interrogated her about why she was flying coach rather than going on a private plane. They also took a photo totally without permission. And that's a big deal. You don't take permission of people, especially when they're right in front of you, without permission. Very rude thing to do. But they took a picture of Ivanka Trump, and of course, they put it up on social media. And let me give some credit to JetBlue. It's not easy for airlines, especially this time of year. But JetBlue caught what was going on very swiftly. They were aware Ivanka was on the flight. So the 2 troublemakers, they were swiftly removed. And I'm going to read you exactly what JetBlue had to say about what occurred. The decision to remove a customer from a flight is not taken lightly. If the crew determines that a customer is causing conflict on the aircraft, the customer will be asked to deplane, especially if the crew feel the situation runs the risk of escalation during flight. So what do you think happened after that? After that, the 2 proud liberals, I think you probably figured that out by now, they of course started playing victim. So needless to say, it makes it very easy for us. There was a subsequent tweet, and there, Matthew Lesnar, he said, well, he put his spin on it. He said, Ivanka and Jared on our flight. My husband expressed displeasure in a calm tone. JetBlue staff overheard, and they kicked us off the plane. Bring out the violins, right? Do I even need to tell you this? That Lesnar has, for some reason since this morning, just so happened to delete his Twitter account. Now we believe in giving credit where credit is due. Maybe one day we'll have huge bureaus everywhere around the country, but For now, we're getting some information from Heavy.com, and we're going to cite them. A Mark Sheff, who is a freelance artist, claims to have witnessed the incident firsthand. So on Facebook, this man, Sheff, said that the man did not accost Ivanka Trump, but was also, this is the key part, not what I would describe as calm. Sheff, he added that Ivanka Trump was happy to let the incident go, but that JetBlue security made the call to remove the couple. Meanwhile, now let me go with another aspect of this. This just shows how messed up the left is, and the official Jewish left in particular. I like calling them out. It's just something, about my own ethnic heritage, ethno-religious heritage. Okay, there's this horrendous leftist publication called The Forward. It used to be, by the way, called the Jewish Forward. I'm talking like 100 years ago, whatever, when there were a lot of people immigrating from Poland, Russia, wherever. It was a Yiddish daily. It switched to English, but like so many institutions, it's been taken over by the left in the long march, I guess you could call it. And this is almost so sad it's funny. They took Jewish out of the name so that they would disassociate the publication with actual Judaism. And that left it as just the Forward. And Forward, it was Barack Obama's slogan 4 years ago, but it also, and not totally coincidentally, just happens to be a popular communist term, especially in the Lenin and Stalin eras, great times, right? So about the Forward, there's this great writer named Daniel Greenfield. I know him a little bit. Some of you may know him only through his writing. He goes by Sultan Kanish. Google that, bookmark it. That's something I may annoy some of you with, but I'm giving you some useful sites so you don't have to watch NBC anymore for news. He had a great column in Front Page Mag just 2 days ago, and it had a humorous title. Not to be taken literally. It was Forward Editor Announces He Hates Hanukkah. And again, make sure to get that one in particular. It's short and worth reading. That little article or column, opinion piece, that will tell you pretty much all you need to know about the Forward in not so many words. But the point here is that the Forward actually, I'm not making this up, published a cheerful, inspiring story making this homosexual dynamic duo into heroes. Seriously. Here's what the title was. Meet Dan Goldstein, the Jewish lawyer who faced off with Ivanka Trump on JetBlue flight, as if he's Atticus Finch or something. And as if this was a, quote, face-off, two people agreeing to, Burr and Alexander Hamilton to duel out their differences. But what it was really two mentally ill lowlifes, in my opinion, harassing Ivanka when she was freaking there with her young children. And what was she doing? Was she facing off back at them? No, she was trying to distract her kids from the ugly situation which was put in her face when she's just trying to get on the plane. She was trying to distract them with crayons. That's a face-off. Pathetic. And by the way, yeah, I'm a Jew myself. Those of you who like to go and comment about Zionists at Rsbn, you can, stop watching now, but I'm a Jew myself, but you'll like this part. Behavior like this by fellow Jews really does get under my skin, even more than it would be if it were by someone who were not Jewish. That's me editorializing. Okay, so I looked at the information out there, and I did, as the Forward suggested I do, and that it suggested everyone do, I did meet Dan Goldstein. And I also made a point to meet Matthew Lesnar. And right now I'm going to tell you some things about these LGBTQ WTF social justice warriors that you're just not going to see on CBS or the Clinton News Network or whatever else. Probably not on Fox News either, let's be honest. And I have to stop saying let's be honest too much. I'm getting the hang of this, guys. Bear with me. So Dan Goldstein, to me when I read about him, it sounded a lot like what Michael Savage, and we love Michael Savage here at Rsbn, but if you've listened to him, you heard him talk about Marvin the lawyer from NYU. And when I read about his biography, that's exactly what came to mind. So Goldstein, and yes, I know that's a name that had a big role in George Orwell's 1984. Goldstein is an employment lawyer in Brooklyn. Look, we can't research everything, and that research wasn't out there, but he's an employment lawyer in Brooklyn, and I don't know what his practice is, but it wouldn't shock me at all if he happens to be the kind that, you know what they do, they harass productive companies with unfair termination lawsuits. You know the type, and well, for what it's worth, he graduated from Wesleyan College and UCLA Law School, and I mentioned UCLA, we're going to come back to that later. But now, we're going to talk about Matthew Lesnar. He's the tweeter, but he's also a scholar. He is a professor at Hunter College. Wow. He apparently studies the history and theory of the U.S. built environment, with particular focus on housing and the relationship between housing patterns and urban and suburban form. He earned a PhD in architecture and urban planning at Harvard's Graduate School of Design and an MS in urban and regional planning studies from the London School of Economics. By the way, London School of Economics, let me add something. You know who went there? Someone who you heard a lot. This has nothing to do with this guy Lesnar. But how many times is London School of Economics brought up? Did you watch the Trump rallies? Did you watch a little bit before the Trump rallies? And I'm not talking about the pregame show I hosted. I'm talking when they played the music, which you didn't hear on Rsbn, but maybe you watched one of these knockoff channels, or maybe you watched the live feed on ABC, whatever. You heard a lot of a man named Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones, which was probably over half the music played at those things. That's between Trump and his musical tastes. But Mick Jagger, interesting fact, went to the London School of Economics. I think he met Keith Richards in high school, or the British version of high school, whatever they call it, I forget. But he also, I guess, he and Mick Jagger sort of went to the same school. And by the way, he got his BA, not Mick Jagger anymore, we're done with him. Lesnar, the troublemaker, he got his BA in urban studies at Columbia. So the point is, he's so much smarter than the rest of us, some of us who even, all Trump voters, obviously. By the way, I happen to be a little familiar myself with Harvard and Columbia, especially Harvard and Columbia combined, like Lesnar seems to do. And I'm not going to get into my personal reasons why, but it's more than just knowing the educational background of Barack Obama. Though I will add, as a footnote, no one who was supposedly in his Columbia class seems to remember Barack Obama, though they do at Harvard Law School. A bit more about Matthew Lesnar beyond his so superior erudition. His real passion, it seems, is not architecture. It's not educating young minds. What is his real passion? Protesting. Last month, he tweeted triumphantly about being a part of a hashtag Not My President protest in Chicago. Here's what he wrote, very proudly about that. Hashtag Occupy Wall Street was practice. Moving on to the big deal. That was just his training. Oh, and thanks again to Heavy.com for their great work on all this, by the way. That wasn't all from Heavy.com. I just want to thank them again. And we really make a point to avoid neo-plagiarism and give credit where it's due. And we're not going to be perfect. At some point, we'll have to credit someone after the fact. Bear with us. We're new to this, and no one else even does this anymore. Okay. Back to Lesnar's tweets. And hey, you're getting a lot of information about this, right? Shortly after that, on November 15th, for example, Professor Lesnar confidently tweeted, "I wager Trump will have privately run internment camps," which he also called deportation centers, by March. Then, and this must be rather offensive to plenty of people, no doubt. I don't get offended by anything, but there were people who went through the Holocaust. He added a touch of Holocaust to that tweet about these internment camps that Trump is going to provide. Trump, who's been, in the news for being so pro-Israel the last few days. He added a touch of Holocaust, this guy, by including with that tweet about deportation centers the hashtag never again. Not that Lesnar seems at all concerned about actual mistreatment of Israeli or Jews anywhere, or perhaps more interestingly, at all concerned about what happens to fellow homosexuals where Sharia is the rule. You know what I'm saying? By the way, Lesnar, his obsession with Trump is not just in the last few weeks. Well, that's predictable enough. In May, for example, he used his scholarly field, which is architecture, to attack Trump, saying that Trump represents, quote, an ascension of ego, of surface, and of explicitly catering to new wealth going on. And he went on to new wealth. He went on to call him, quote, the Gordon Gekko of developers, and etc. etc. This is what we at Rsbn we want you to be aware of. That's why we went at length in this story, which may not have even made it onto the other news. We want you to know that we're dealing with it. And by the way, speaking of dealing with it, we don't deal with it. But Ivanka Trump and her traveling party, they really had to deal with this frustrating social justice warrior experience. But anyhow, I hope I've told you all that you could possibly want to know, and I hope to never mention their names again. certainly because it's going to be a few weeks till we're on again with this, most likely. But Matthew Lesnar and Dan Goldstein, I think I've given these Eloy, and we're going to have a word of the day, because this is what I'm going to come back to now. I want you to Google this. E-L-O-I. E-L-O-I. It's, I think, a Wells reference, and it's perfect. Some other columnist, I think it was David Goldman, but I may be wrong, brought that word to my attention. But I've given these guys much, much more publicity than they deserve. And, oh, you know what? I want to go through some of the tweets, because we do things a little differently here at Rsbn. We use all the new media. We know that there's so many sources out there. We try to go through the best of them. We don't claim that these are the best 3 tweets. There were just 3 that caught our attention. We're doing things differently. So here's a tweet by a handle, Mr. Reasonable, that sums it up. More proof that liberalism is an ideology of hate. And another one from Daisy Chain. More intolerant liberals who think it's okay to harass a mom with her children present on an airplane where this woman had no escape or ability to protect her children. Was that a tweet? It's a little long for 140 character, 140 or 160. It's just shameful. Truly, liberals need to get a grip. And from Philip. Every day I read something that makes it clear that the Democrats deserve to lose the election. And here's one. I'm going to pause. You got to get to know. One of my favorite tweeter, I've met him in person at the rally, I think it was in Aston, Pennsylvania, Jack Posobiec, and that is the last name I got to spell for you. No disrespect to the Polish Americans out there, but it's not an obvious spelling. Posobiec. Just follow him on Twitter. He's got a big following, but you should follow him. He tweeted, and let's keep in mind, background information, Hunter College is part of City University of New York, so technically Matthew Lesnar is a city employee. With that in mind, here's Jack Posobiec's tweet. Hi, at New York City Mayor's office. Was Matt Lesnar on duty as a city employee when he attacked Ivanka and her children? What is at Bill de Blasio response? And of course, it's late December, so he probably wasn't on duty. But I like the way Jack Posobiec thinks there. Finally, on this issue, one last thought, my own thought here. And if you've been following, if you watched us this morning, if you watched me last night, watched us last night, you heard about a guy named Adam Saleh, the Muslim in-flight troublemaker, Delta Airlines, blah, 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 new civil rights victim. Wouldn't it be fun if there were some long, turbulent flight in which these two I mentioned before with the incident with Ivanka, if they were stuck on an aisle, well, if they were in an aisle and a window seat, and then in the middle, who was sitting between them? Adam Saleh. How great would that be? We'd want to televise that on Rsbn. But moving on, and I deserve a sip of water in the future. Oh, where is it? Where did I put it? I deserve one, but I'm apparently not going to get one. Oh, there it is. Hold on. Hello, Marco Rubio. In the future, we're going to have a co-host. How great was Liz yesterday, right? I'm looking forward to working with her, and we will have commercials. We're working out how to do the breaks. I'm not going to be talking how long was that? I don't even know, but I will get a pause every now and then. All right. President-elect Trump announced a couple new appointments today. By the way, on that note, whatever happened to all the Trump transition in crisis and transition moving too slow stories? If you're going to run those stories, I ask, shouldn't you also have to run a we were wrong story when the transition process actually goes very smoothly, efficiently, and quickly? But you may have heard this news. Kellyanne Conway today was named counselor to the president. And Sean Spicer, maybe not as household a name, he was named press secretary. And I can't be the only one out there who thinks it's funny how long he made Kellyanne wait. I mean, yeah, that would have been mean if he had done that, made her wait till after Christmas. But she must have really been freaking out at this point, right? Is he going to hire me for the White House, or am I going to be forced to sell my soul and be a talking head for the mainstream media, for Fox News? Not that that would be so bad or worse. On that note, how much do you see Evan McMullen on, well, you're not watching MSLSD, but I see him all the time popping up. We have to monitor it. So, but Kellyanne Conway not going to go that route, and I think it's a good thing. I think she was very effective. Hey, go back. Sorry, we're working things out here. Either having to listen to Paul Begala and Van Jones sitting next to you on CNN, or having to pretend Katie Tur that she's such a political expert on MS-ACLU, or having to wear a mini skirt to work in 10-degree weather on Fox News. I like that part. Steve wrote that part, the co-producer, co-writer. Continuing on, there is also what MSPCP calls Trump breaks with White House on nukes and Israeli settlements. And we're going to do this one part at a time. But President-elect Trump, he today took a much more pro-Israel stand than Barack Obama, which is not very hard to do. He took a tougher stand for Israel on a proposed UN Security Council resolution about Israel. What did Trump say? He said that Obama should veto the proposed resolution which criticizes Israel for building settlements in the so-called West Bank and in East Jerusalem. The Obama administration has been non-committal so far about the resolution, and some are speculating that the administration intends to let the resolution pass if it's approved. Interestingly, after Trump made his remarks, Egypt, the resolution sponsor, which is a lot less hostile toward Israel than a lot of countries in the region, but Egypt withdrew that resolution indefinitely. So for someone who's not even president yet, he sure seems to be getting a lot done. Keeping carrier jobs in the country, how's that? You like that? Getting a UN resolution withdrawn, so on. And it seems to me, and this is probably not a very original thought, that he's getting this done by being strong and forceful, pretty much in the precise way that liberals complain about. Perhaps the personal characteristics that liberals see as desirable or even acceptable in their leaders maybe, just maybe, aren't the most effective personal characteristics for a leader to have. And the other Trump news I mentioned, I would say. The president-elect posted a tweet about nuclear weapons today that led to widespread speculation on what it really meant. Trump's tweet read, "The United States must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such time as the world comes to its senses regarding nukes." Some analysts interpreted this tweet as supporting an increase in the American nuclear arsenal, which would be a reversal of the policy of the previous few decades since the Nixon presidency. Indeed, President Obama, in a 2009 speech, said the U.S. would lead the effort to a world without nuclear weapons. Predictably, liberals took this opportunity to offer ill-considered anti-Trump analysis of a Trump tweet. For example, Oliver Willis, hopefully no relation to Liz Willis, who I can't wait to have as a co-host. That's a fellow at the progressive media watchdog group, Media Matters, George Soros, David Brock. He tweeted, reminder of the day, 50 nukes could kill 200 million people, 60% of the U.S. population. We have about 7,100. Trump says we need more. Yes. So I'm sure, as you're sure, that the Trump administration has no idea about how much damage nuclear weapons could cause. And they're only proposing that we increase the numbers of them because they've underestimated the amount of damage that they cause. And for the Bernie supporters out there, they probably think Trump has, that guy at the end of Dr. Strangelove who's riding on the nuclear bomb and loving it. They probably think there's some of that too. Who knows? Probably some Hillary supporters think that too. And of course, there could not possibly be a strategic reason whatsoever why one might want to have a larger number of up-to-date nuclear weapons. So I don't think the issue is really quite as simple as Oliver Willis makes it, even though he thinks he is enlightening us all. Now, on to North Carolina in a second. For what it's worth, North Carolina happens to be the home of Rsbn, and we still have a small staff. Our director of digital operations, Brad Savage. Got to give that shout out, and I spent a lot of time in North Carolina, for what it's worth, during the months up to election day. I seem to be in North Carolina particularly a lot. All right, but the North Carolina legislature, yesterday, as you may have heard, it failed to repeal its transgender bathroom law. A repeal that many had anticipated would happen. What the law says is that transgender people must use the bathroom corresponding to their birth gender. I like the language there. To hear the mainstream media discuss this, well, it just comes down to more North Carolina intolerance. But it's another case where the details are not quite as clean as the mainstream media would like them to be for their narrative. Looking at the details of what actually happened, it seemed that there was an agreement in place between the state legislature and the Charlotte City Council. in which the Charlotte City Council would repeal its own anti-discrimination ordinance first. And in return, the state legislature would repeal the bathroom law. But what actually happened, and this is according to the New York Times, a very left-wing source, mind you, what happened is that the Charlotte City Council did not fully repeal, as it agreed to, its anti-discrimination law, and it let some provisions of it stand. When you see this background, which you know you're not getting on the big networks, it then becomes much less clear and much more clear why exactly the state legislature didn't repeal the bathroom law. It's possible, not certain, but possible, that the Democrats in North Carolina, especially those in Charlotte, which is very Democrat, as big cities tend to be, that they're at fault here. But you know you're not going to hear these inconvenient details from the so-called mainstream media. So if you want to make an intelligent, informed assessment about what's going on, you can tune in here. You can read stuff online, but probably you don't want to go out front with Erin Burnett. All right, as I mentioned before, regular viewers of the show know we spent some time yesterday following on the story of, I hate to give him more publicity, Adam Saleh, a YouTube blogger who claimed he got thrown off a Delta Airlines plane for speaking Arabic. So now we want to update you with the latest on the story. These came out after, it was Steve, the co-producer and co-writer here, and you'll see him later. But we want to update you on what came out shortly after we were on the air with Rsbn tonight, last night. Here's the statement about the incident from Delta Airlines. So as with before, I'm just going to read you the statement. JetBlue, wow. How many shows will I read two airline statements the same night? But here is this from Delta. Upon landing, the crew was debriefed and multiple passenger statements collected. Based on the information collected to date, it appears the customers who were removed sought to disrupt the cabin with provocative behavior, including shouting. This type of conduct is not welcome on any Delta flight. The statement, needs some parsing, like a military briefing. Doesn't really shout that much light other than some shouting, which people might do if they were unfairly treated. Sheds no light on what really happened. It just says provocative behavior, including shouting. It doesn't say whether the shouting was in English. I was a little nicer with the JetBlue statement. I gave that a thumbs up. This a little more mixed reaction. But, of course, Delta knows a little bit more about what happened than this. I have some legal training. Don't hold it against me, but I can figure out that they're saying as little as possible for various legal reasons, probably a lawsuit from Adam Saleh, and I'm sure CAIR, C-A-I-R, you know about those guys. If not, Google it. They're probably already having a lot of meetings. But we can give you something else someone else posted, though we can't say with 100% certainty that it's 100% reliable. See, we dot our I's and cross our T's here. We're not like the others, certainly not the others that are very small news operations that are into clickbait. But this was posted by a Roderick J. Edens, whom I've never met and probably never will. He writes about the guy removed from Delta flight from London. I feel the need to share this. My boyfriend, another boyfriend, wow. No editorial, but my boyfriend was sitting in the seat directly in front of them. The entire thing was planned. He wasn't on the phone with his mom speaking Arabic. He and his friends were shouting in Arabic with their fists balled up in the air. They were removed from the plane for being loud and disruptive. Then started filming, claiming they were victims. These guys aren't victims. They are social media whores. Now that was Roderick J. Edens. Well, I'd like to express my personal hope that they no longer will be social media whores, and hide the kids for a second. That's because whores implies making money. I hope if this is all true, that their videos start to fail miserably and that they are reduced to becoming social media sluts, not social media whores. So there is that. And finally tonight, let me just take a quick drink again. I think there's a picture up there for you. Well, I hope, by the way, you enjoyed the premiere of Raised Right earlier this evening. That was, of course, the show with Cassie Dillon and Will Nardi. It talks about university bias against conservatives, a very specific beat that they're covering. I'm all over the place. We don't know what we're doing when we start out the day. It's specific bias against, university bias against conservatives, really against all non-leftists. And it's about so much more unenlightened, just not cool stuff that occurs at our nation's institutions of so-called higher learning. But there's so much more of this stuff going on that Ray's Right couldn't even get to. And I'm now bringing in co-writer and co-producer Steve Lookner to share some of his thoughts. He's an equal partner in the writing and production of the show, and this is your baby. So, wait, I got to tell them some more about you. They're getting to know you still, but we've hid some things from them about you. We didn't hide it. We just, some of you may be watching this the first time.
Don't tell him that one thing, though.
Keep quiet. He has done time, and I'm using the phrase done time, as a writer and producer in Hollywood. But I've mentioned that. You may not know he has also spent a few years in grad school and at a prominent liberal university that just so happens to be on the West Coast. Steve, let me turn it over to you.
So I'm here because, as you said, I loved Ray's Right tonight. Great job, Cassie and Will. But I heard about a couple more events going on in colleges coming up. You might want to put on your social calendar, Adam, and all you guys out there, you might want to put on your
I'll see if Joe gives me the day off. I doubt it.
Okay, so we'll wait until you hear what they are. Maybe you will.
I doubt it.
So the first one, I wrote this down. I wrote down the title of this event here. Let's see if I can go down here and find it. Oh, okay. So the exact title is called Shut Down Milo Yiannopoulos at UCLA. And this group is this event is sponsored by the group Socialist Students UCLA. Now, colleges, as I understand it, are supposed to be places where, you send your kids, and if you have kids, and they learn lots of new viewpoints, and they get their views.
You're gonna let them know how old you are.
Well, yeah. I think Jake Seals already did. But so you send your kids there, and they get exposed to new views. They get their views challenged, and that's how their minds develop to become better critical thinkers. And I think this event, it really does that. It does what college is supposed to do. And let me read you what the description of the event is from the event's website, and you can see how it actually does what college is supposed to do. The description of this event, which again is called Shut Down Milo Yiannopoulos at UCLA. The description is, we feel that the University of California's willingness to provide a platform for Milo Yiannopoulos and his views is unacceptable. We are inviting all allies in the UCLA community to help us shut down this event. So this, to me, this is the kind of thinking we want to encourage in our young people to make America an awesome country. This kind of thinking is, if somebody disagrees with you, it's unacceptable, and don't let them speak and shut them down. So this kind of event going on makes me feel so much more optimistic about the future of this country. And I know you had a thought about this event too that you wanted to mention.
I'm just concerned that they would realize how old you are, and since we were college camp classmates, how old I am, if he were being sarcastic, but if they think if college hasn't been like that for a long time, it was starting to head that way when we were there.
Hey, I was there very recently in grad school. So
you know what I meant.
But you had a concern about the title of this event, or an observation.
Oh, yeah. Well, who are the people who are involved?
It's a Socialist Students UCLA.
No. It was about, we were talking about this before. They needed to take a stand against racism, sexism, and Islamophobia. And what occurred to me, and we know about Milo Yiannopoulos' personal life.
Yes, I forgot.
There you go.
Actually, I had it written down here. So if you go to the event page on Facebook, which is on a lot of college, they have sites. No, this is the UCLA one. The other one's for a lot of colleges. But this event page, the Shut Down Milo Yiannopoulos at UCLA event page, the motto on the event page is "Unite against racism, misogyny, and bigotry." Yeah,
and Milo's gay. He doesn't hide that. We're not outing him. If you watch his stuff, he's pretty clear and pretty explicit about what he's into, but we're not going to get into that there. But what was occurring to me is I don't go to these liberal planning sessions or leftists or Marxists, whatever, and the word they always like to throw in there is they love to include homophobia and transphobia. And you can just see the debate that was probably occurring. There must have been people on both sides, whether to include homophobia if he was authentically gay or not, because you can't be gay if you support Trump, probably. That must have been a fiery debate in there.
The moment when they had to cross out the word homophobia from the motto they use for all of their rallies must have just driven them crazy. So anyways, all right, so that's
well, if it's a failure, we'll know why.
You know, and it's bad. I'm so bad because I didn't actually get the date of this one. So if people out there want to go to
How can I plan? How can I plan my schedule?
If you want to go to it, feel free to do a search for, I believe it's shut down Milo Yiannopoulos at UCLA, and you can find it. Okay, there's one more event I want to tell you about before we
Bring
go.
it on.
And that event is, this is a national college event. And again, this to me is an event. This represents the best of college. This event is what college is all about. This event is an event that shows that colleges are doing their jobs, making students better thinkers, and making students think for themselves and exposing them to different views. This event is called National Student Walkout Against Bigotry and Hate. And you know what day this is on? It's on Inauguration Day. So on Inauguration Day, college students all across the country are going to stage a national student walkout against bigotry and hate. And you might wonder, what is this? And also from the description of the event from the website is it's against the walkout is to protest the bigotry and hate Donald Trump and the Republican Party are planning to unleash. So you might wonder, what bigotry and hate are they talking about?
Of course.
Do you know what? So to answer the question of what bigotry and hate they're really protesting,
what did Never Trumpers do, by the way?
What did Never Trumpers
about that? That's a big part of the Republican Party. Are they protesting against them? Well, they didn't address that. I'll let you go on.
Okay. So what bigotry and hate are they protesting on the part of Trump and the Republicans? Well, if you look at the official list of demands that the rally is going to give, and that's on the website too, you'll see. So one demand that they have is no deportations of undocumented immigrants. So I guess if I want America's laws to be enforced, I like bigotry and hate. That's
obviously. You're such a bigot, Steve.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, another demand of this rally against bigotry and hate on part of the Trump administration is stop the Dakota Access Pipeline. So this is the pipeline that the company that's building it. They did all of the necessary applications to government agencies, and they got all of the necessary government agency approval among this was during the Obama administration. So I guess if I'm someone who thinks that government agency ruling should actually have force, I am for bigotry and hate. Oh, okay, cool. That's good. I just want to make clear. And finally, the last two items on the list of demands I want to point out are defend and extend reproductive rights and make college free and cancel student debt. Okay, so I think I'm getting this now. If I'm anti-abortion, or if I think somebody should actually have to pay something for college, or if I think people should have to pay their debts, then I want bigotry and hate. I'm a hateful bigot. Is that correct?
And I imagine you're more tolerant if you think colleges should pay you to go there.
Oh, then
you're really full of love.
So really the people who are the biggest bigots and haters are the people who want colleges to be free and don't want to get paid to go to college.
Hey, love Trump's hate.
Oh, nice. Way to...
Hey, thanks for setting me up for that one.
That's on Inauguration Day, so if you want to go, you now know about it and mark it on your calendar.
All right, I had something else, but I forgot what I was going to say.
Well,
just sit there for a few minutes. Let me tell people, if you want to follow Steve Lookner, who's new to us here at RSBN, at LOOKNER. That's him on Twitter. And let me mention some of the others. If you want to follow RSBN in general, a lot of you probably already do, it's at RSB Network. If you want to follow Joe Seals, the founder, the big boss here, that is at Joe Seals, Seales. And if you want to follow Judy Seals, who leads the moderators and in the chat room's good stuff. We're going to be drawing more and more stuff, especially for the early show. That is at RSBN Moderator. How about our musical director? At Jacob RSBN Music. Oh, me, Adam_Taxon, and Brad Savage. His Twitter account is at New World New Age. What else?
Does the new Christmas tree in our office, does it have a Twitter account yet?
That's a good idea.
We should do that.
That's a good idea.
Maybe we'll do that. If we do, we'll let you know.
And speaking of Christmas, we'd like to wish you guys out there not happy holidays, but Merry Christmas. And what else? How about Canadians? We love our Canadian friends. The day after, December 26th, Boxing Day. Happy Boxing Day. I can't believe we know something about Jews. Happy Hanukkah, which I love this. It doesn't happen often. It's so easy to remember this year. Starts the night of December 24th, ends the night of January 1st. You can't forget that one, but probably won't be like that for another 35 years or something. There's another holiday. Oh, Happy New Year's, January 1st, because we won't be on before that. I assume we will be on before Elvis's birthday on January 8th. And to the white liberals who may be watching us to troll, Happy Kwanzaa.
Oh. I was going to say, is it too early to wish them a happy St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that later.
Are we still on?
I think so.
Any other thoughts on the news today?
Hey, you know what? I think we've done a full day here. We had 3 shows on, we had more than that. A lot of shows today. So thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Oh, and if you like this kind of programming and you want to see more, please, please, please donate to our Right Side Broadcasting, because we rely on your donations to exist. That's rsbn.tv/donate.
And see, yeah, for example, these lights up here, which are illuminating us for better and perhaps for worse. We didn't put makeup and powder, but go on.
I heard every time while we're broadcasting, if like we're in the studio and the lights go on or off, that's another donation that just came in.
Hey, it's like when an angel loses its wings or gains it back. I gotta watch that again. It's a Wonderful Life. Do I really have to put a pitch in for that? But we're still on the air. Hey, you need some reading material for the next 2 weeks? Are these guys just leaving us on the air? They're probably running some commercials.
Maybe we never ever had to go off in the first place.
Yeah, okay, so apparently we're on the air. Jerry Lewis. That is worth watching. We talked about that earlier on, Mornings with Adam, even though it turned out to be early afternoons with more than just Adam. Okay, we can wrap up now. But I'm going to finish that thought, and that thought is just Google Jerry Lewis interview. It's worth watching, and you don't need us to comment on it. I would like to wish you guys all, we went through the holidays. No, I can't say holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Boxing Day, Happy New Year's, and to the white liberals, Happy Kwanzaa. Out.
Happy New Year.